What's up, everyone? As promised, here is the recording of the trades we took yesterday and how they unfolded. First and foremost, like I said, I was leaning more bearish. This was the first bearish trade that we took. Remember, we took this little entry right here. Trade played out very, very nicely. As you guys can see, actually ran 1:2.4. Was a crazy good trade, and everything played out quite well. But I was looking at this potential buy setup only because we had order flow in this area. You can see we created this level of demand, which we initially then came back and tested, and we got a good reaction off of this area. I was potentially targeting these highs because of this massive strong shift and rejection. And as you guys can see, I had one leg, and this was the second leg, right? This area right here was the leg that I was looking at. Just got nicked out, and price anyways went our way. But that's part of the game. We can't shy away from these things. We must just learn from that. But as I said, we actually, if you look at it, and even using just normal basic structure, this was a lower high, right? So we had this accumulation that formed here. Let me just quickly check here. Here we go. This will look nice. We had this reaccumulation, and the reason why I say this was reaccumulation is you guys can see how we had weeks all above these highs, weeks above those highs, weeks below these lows, weeks below these lows, weeks below these lows. So it was just reaccumulating. And what do I always say when we have reaccumulation? After manipulation, reaccumulation, we get distribution, right? And this is exactly what we then had. So firstly, I identified our first level of supply, which was respected. This candle right here was pure manipulation. Okay, this was New York Open. It was just a spike in volume pushing sellers into the market. This massive week and this massive bullish candle was just a trap to get buyers to get into the market, and they were going to get liquidated, right? And that's exactly what happened here. So this was a pure manipulative move. I then saw price push down, and this is where I said we must take our first initial sell was on this level right here. I'm going to mark that in red just so that we can reference that. Our first initial sell, we came back, we pushed. I saw these 2 weeks with this massive bullish rejection, and I said let's rather close it on break even. But this is why it is so important to really adjust and adapt so quickly in this market. But because when I saw this week and I saw this candle pushing bearish, I said let's take the sell again. So even though this was then a break even trade, I adapted and I understood what price action was trying to do and what price action tried to show me. Took our first initial sell. You can see we pushed lower, literally past this low of this candle that I was saying that we're going to see this candle full. This candle got filled. We pushed back up again. I said I was going to hold this trade. Yes, we had quite a deep retracement, but you have to trust yourself. You have to trust your strategy and your system. I was not going to close this trade. So even if we hit stop loss here, I was happy with that. And then we had this new CP form, and this is our second trade that we took. So just showing how I adapted in the market, how I went from maybe having a shift in structure here that we may be going to trade bullish, using that as my advantage, getting my structure, getting my manipulation, understanding that we have reaccumulation, and now we just need to wait for distribution. Remember, this is like that Coke can that I always refer to. If you compress a Coke can that's closed and it explodes, it's gonna go some way, somewhere in a very aggressive manner, and that's exactly what we saw there. So I hope this video helps. There's not much to it. It's very simple. It's very straightforward. So yeah, be blessed, and I'll check you guys in the next video.